How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. Today we're going to be covering episode 181, and this episode was an adaptation of chapter 17 of the Boruto manga. So how was the episode? Anyways, before I get on to the episode review, if you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're new to the channel. Anyways, let's get on to that review, shall we? Now, since this was an adaptation of chapter 17, I don't want to focus on the overall plot of the episode just because it basically follows the same premise. So I kind of want to talk about some of the changes that were made in this episode, more so than actually summarizing the episode. Now, to begin in this episode, Konohamaru was investigating the container that the vessel was placed in on the blimp. And the one thing I thought was kind of funny here is that as he's investigating it, he notices it looks like there's a port here, and he basically takes his ninja scroll out and he plugs it in to this port like it's a USB drive, which, I don't know, I thought that was kind of a little silly, but whatever. But he's extracting data, and I have to say that this data that he obtains from this is very important later on, so keep this in mind, anime onlys. This is a very important part that's going to play a very important role later on in the story. But anyways, on the outside, Mujino is actually being attacked by a puppet and actually gets stabbed pretty brutally, I must say. And it turns out the puppet that stabbed him was one of the guys that actually he was fighting back at Victor's lab in the car actuation arc that was a zombie. So, are you telling me that all these puppets were basically formerly humans that were from Victor's lab? Because that's pretty screwed up, not gonna lie. But anyways, they managed to get away, but Mujino, he's not in good shape right now, and he even keeps telling Konohamaru to leave him behind, which, fits his personality, but, Konohamaru's not going to let him go. So, moving on. Now, shifting over to the scene at the Hokage office between Naruto, Sasuke, Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, and Shikamaru. Now, the interesting thing here is that when Sasuke's talking about Kara, if I remember correctly in the manga, it's been a little while since I read this scene in the manga. If I recall correctly, Sasuke talked about Kara being potentially an Otsutsuki level threat. Whereas here in the anime, he kind of talks about when he went to investigate Kara, he wasn't able to find out a whole lot. And even Shikamaru here is surprised that Sasuke wasn't able to find out a whole lot. So I thought that was a little nice touch that the anime did here. Because in the manga, it kind of came out of nowhere, and Sasuke was looking into them off screen, which was kind of annoying. So I liked that the anime did this back, I think, in episode 157. So, nice job, anime. Now, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the next part because it pretty much is similar to how it was portrayed in the manga. So, Katasuke shows up, immediately annoys Boruto because, well, he kind of, humiliated Boruto in front of everybody at the Chunin exams and kind of used him. So, Boruto is not exactly too fond of Katasuke anymore. But, Katasuke is here because their mission today is protecting Katasuke. He's going back to his research lab, and he's taking that prosthetic arm back with him. And Boruto, already not being fond of Katasuke and scientific ninja tools, is not really too happy about this mission. And it's a C-rank mission, and he thinks it should have been a B-rank mission, so Boruto storms off. But Sarada and Mitsuki over here, they get their own mission, along with this mission that they're on. It's to watch over Boruto and his curse mark. The next scene where Boruto is kind of run off, he's at the Thunder Burger, and Mitsuki catches up with him. They actually changed this scene from the anime to the manga. Initially, I didn't really like this, but after kind of viewing it again, I actually don't mind it. So, Mitsuki shows up, he talks to Boruto. Now in the manga, what he did here is, he's like, hey, if you're not going, I'm not going as well, but this will end up being a solo mission for Sarada. And he kind of wraps Boruto up in his snakes, and he basically tells him, hey, by the way, I thought you were going to be, the one that would protect the Hokage from the shadows, so wouldn't you be, contradicting yourself to Sarada here by not doing this, by protecting her on this mission? Which, Boruto gets annoyed by this and is reluctantly agrees to going on the mission. Whereas here in the anime, Mitsuki says kind of the same thing, but then he goes off and says, well, I'm not letting Sarada go off on her own. And then he talks about his will, which I thought was interesting. And then Boruto was like, well, yeah, I wasn't just going to give up on this mission, just throw a fit and not go on the mission. I'm doing it regardless. I'm just not really in the mood to do it, but I'll do it regardless. So, it's an okay change. I think I prefer the manga version a little bit more, but I do like the fact that the anime added in Mitsuki's will here. So, kind of adding the fact that the Mitsuki arc is canon, guys, and you probably should watch it. Now, this episode actually added an original scene between Jigen and Amado that wasn't present in the manga, in which Jigen and Amado were talking. And it turns out that Jigen is actually suspicious that someone within the inner members of Kara is a traitor. And he's trying to snuff out the traitor. And he basically he's trying to snuff out the traitor by doing this mission to retrieve the vessel to see who the actual traitor is. And Amado, he's kind of freaking out here. He's like, well, hey, wasn't it Victor that was the traitor? And Jigen even admits, yeah, Victor essentially was a traitor. He was trying to steal the vessel, but someone else is also a traitor among the inners, because something changed when the blimp, changed direction and the vessel moved. So he's suspicious that someone within the inner members of Kara is a traitor and is trying to go against the wishes of the organization. So this mission essentially is to snuff out who the traitor exactly is. And Amado's over here like, well, I guess you're going to task me with finding out who this traitor is, and Jigen's like, yep, now give me some tea, which Amado obliges. Now, speaking of tea, is it just me, or is Amado just drinking tea in the anime version? Because in the manga, Amado is a smoker, and he needs his smokes, which we see him smoking quite a lot in the manga. But here in the anime, he's just drinking tea, so did they tone it down to where instead of being a smoker, he's a tea drinker? Because if so, that's a lame change, in my opinion, to tone down Amado like this. But, what are you going to do? But anyways, the rest of the episode is basically Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki going on the Thunder Train. They're heading out on their mission with Katasuke. And while they're on the train, they end up running into Ao over here, which I thought was a pretty interesting scene. It pretty much follows kind of how the manga went, and even mentions the whole scene where, they're asking, okay, which village are you from? Oh yeah, I'm from the Hidden Mist. And Boruto in the manga brought up the fact that when he was in the academy, he went on a field trip over to the Hidden Mist village, which I was hoping maybe they would get a small flashback here in the anime version, because when they put this out in the manga, it was a pretty clear reference to the anime because that arc was basically airing at the same time this manga chapter came out. So I was hoping maybe they would reference that with a flashback or something like that, but they didn't do that. So whatever, but anyways, it basically follows the whole scene. They talk to Ao, they learn about him, and then Ao learns about how Boruto doesn't like scientific ninja tools, and he has that moment where he basically takes a screwdriver and puts it up to his neck, and is literally about to kill Boruto. And he's like, well, if you were my enemy, you would be dead right then. But, yeah. So, anyways, moving on. After Boruto and the others leave the train, Kashin Koji is there to talk to Ao and give him his mission to retrieve the vessel, which they added a little bit of anime original stuff here as well, which I thought was much needed. So, remember a couple episodes ago when Ao went to visit Katasuke? He wanted to see him? He wasn't just seeing him because he's an old acquaintance of his. He actually wanted to see if he, that genjutsu that he placed on him way back when, during the Chunin exams. Yeah, that was Ao that did that. Yeah, he was checking to see if maybe he remembered anything, because if he did, Ao was going to kill him. That's pretty dark. It's kind of screwed up, man. That guy pretty much saved your life and basically gave yourself a new life. And you're going to kill him just like that because of Kara? Dude, come on, Ao. And I have to say, I actually want to know a little bit more as to why Ao actually joined Kara. Because I'm actually kind of interested as to why he would join an organization like Kara. But Ao seems to be well aware of kind of what's going on and, his role as an outer. And Kashin Koji gives him his mission to retrieve the vessel. And the one thing interesting here is, in the manga, the last thing he says towards the end of chapter 17 is that it's been 16 years since the Fourth Great Shinobi War. Here in the anime version, it says it's been 16 years since he's last been in combat, which is pretty much the same thing. So pretty much confirmation that it's been officially 16 years, or over 16 years, since the Fourth Great Shinobi War has come to an end. Now overall, I thought this was a fine episode and a good adaptation of chapter 17 for the most part. Again, I like the fact that the anime is filling in a lot of the missing details from the manga, adding in anime original stuff and making the story better. The story is literally being enhanced by the anime right now, so I have to give kudos to the anime for doing this. Now, I don't think everything is being adapted quite the way I want it to. Now, it's not everything, but there are certain things, like in this episode, I mentioned the whole Mitsuki scene that was adapted kind of a bit oddly. And then we have Amado over here who's drinking tea instead of being a smoker from the manga version. Those things I'm not really too fond of. There was also a Sarada scene back in the Mujina Bandits arc that was missing in the anime version, which I was pretty disappointed with. So I'm wondering in future episodes if they're going to be switching up scenes or changing stuff up just to fit the anime. Because there's a certain scene, for example, coming up between Sarada and Sumire in the next episode or two, that's a very interesting scene from the manga. And if they change that in any way from manga to anime version, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. So hopefully they keep it as faithful as possible, because what I want from the Boruto anime is that they faithfully adapt the manga while adding in the missing details and weaving it in a way that makes the story better. That's what they're doing best. So hopefully they do that. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for this episode review. So overall, this was a fine adaptation of Chapter 17 despite some slight disagreements I have with some stuff being adapted. But overall, a fine episode. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So guys, in the comment section down below, what'd you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're new to the channel. I'll talk to you all later. You all have a great day or night wherever you're at, and I'll see you later. Bye.